Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridantosti Abhadrani Vidunoti Sahasratam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 11, verse 18. 89, 19. Okay. Sakalva idam Bhagavan kala saktya guna pravena vipakta virye karotya kartaiva nihanti ahanta cheshta vibhumna kalu durvibhavya. Synonym. Sa. The Kalu, however, idam, this universe, Bhagavan, this personality of Godhead, Kala, of time, Satya, by the force, Guna Pravahena, by the interaction of the modes of nature, Vibhakta, divided, Virya, whose potencies, Karoti, acts upon, Akarta, the non-doer, Eva, although, Nihanti, kills, Ahanta, non-killer, Cheshta, the energy, Vibhunma, of the Lord, Kalu, certainly, Durvibhavya, inconceivable. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by His inconceivable supreme energy, time, causes the interaction of the three modes of material nature, and thus varieties of energy becomes manifest. It appears that He is acting, but He is not the actor. He is killing, but He is not the killer. Thus, it is understood that only by His inconceivable power is everything happening. Purport: the word Durvibhavya means inconceivable by a tiny brain, and Vibhakta Virya means divided varieties of potencies. This is the right explanation of the display of creative energies in the material world. We can better understand the mercy of God by an example. A government state is always supposed to be merciful, but sometimes, in order to keep law and order, the government employs its police force, and thus punishment is meted out to the rebellious citizens. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always merciful and full of transcendental qualities. But certain individual souls have forgotten their relationship with Krishna and have endeavored to lord it over material nature. As a result of their endeavor, they are involved in varieties of material interaction. It is incorrect to argue, however, that because energy issues from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He is the actor. In the previous verse, the word nimitta matram indicates that the Supreme Lord is completely aloof from the action and reaction of the material world. How is everything being done? The word inconceivable has been used. It is not within the power of one's small brain to comprehend. Unless one accepts the inconceivable power and energy of the Lord, one cannot make any progress. The forces which are certainly set up by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but He is always aloof from their action and reaction. The varieties of energies produced by the interaction of material nature produce the varieties of species of life and the resultant happiness and unhappiness. How the Lord acts is nicely explained in the Vishnu Purana. Fire is situated in one place, while the heat and light produced by the fire act in many different ways. Another example is that the electric powerhouse is situated in one place, but by its energies, many different types of machinery in move. The production is never identical with the original source of the energy, but the original source of energy, being the prime factor, is simultaneously one with and different from the product. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya's philosophy, Achinta Beda Abeda Tattva, is a perfect way of understanding. In this material world, the Lord incarnates in three forms as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, by which he takes charge of the three modes of material nature. By his incarnation of Brahma, he creates. As the incarnation of Vishnu, he maintains. And by his incarnation of Shiva, he also annihilates. But the origin source of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, is always apart from these actions and reactions of material nature. Next verse. Verse 19. Sonanto nakta kara kalo nadir adikrat avyaya janam janena janayan maryan mrityu natakam. Synonym: Sa, he, Anta, Anatta, infinite, Antakara, annihilator, Kala, time, Anadi, without beginning, Adikrit, beginning of everything, Avyaya, without decrease, Janam, living entities, Janena, by living entities, Janayan, causing to be born, Marayan, killing, Mrityuna, by death, and Antakam, killers. Translation: My dear Dhruva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ever existing, but in the form of time, he is the killer of everything. He has no beginning, although he is the beginning of everything, nor is he ever exhaustible, although everything is exhausted in due course of time. The living entities are created through the agency of the Father and killed through the agency of death, but he is perpetually free of birth and death. Purport: the supreme authority and inconceivable power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be minutely studied from this verse. He is always unlimited. That means he has no creation or end. He is, however, death in the form of time. As described in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I am death. I take away everything at the end of life. External time is also without beginning, but it is the creator of all creatures. The example is given of touchstone, which creates many valuable stones and jewels, but does not decrease in power. Similarly, creation occurs many times, everything is maintained, and after a time, everything is annihilated. But the original creator, the Supreme Lord, remains untouched and undiminished in power. The secondary creation is made by Brahma, but Brahma is created by the Supreme Godhead. Lord Shiva annihilates the whole creation, but at the end, he is also annihilated by Vishnu. Lord Vishnu remains. In the Vedic hymns, it is stated in the beginning, there is only Vishnu, and that he alone remains at the end. An example can help us to understand the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Lord. In the recent history of warfare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead created a Hitler, and before that, a Napoleon Bonaparte, and they each killed many living entities in war. But in the end, Bonaparte and Hitler were also killed. People are still very much interested in writing and reading books about Hitler and Bonaparte and how they killed so many people in war. Year after year, many books are published for public reading regarding Hitler's killing thousands of Jews in confinement. But no one is researching who killed Hitler and who created such a gigantic killer of human beings. The devotees of the Lord are not much interested in the study of the flickering history of the world. They are interested only in Him, who is the original creator, maintainer, and annihilator. That is the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to read from Srimad Bhagavatam on this auspicious day of Rama Ekadashi in Kartik month. So thank you so much. And then please forgive me for any shortcomings or any of my own interpretations while reading, and also seeking all of your blessings while explaining. So, Nikki, do you mind just sharing that verse again, the first verse that you read? Okay. Yeah, so in the verse 18, really the focus was about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his inconceivable energy, right? And clearly Prabhupada explains here about Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. So the main point that stands out over here is we have to understand the Supreme Personality of God, like Krishna's supreme position. We just have to understand that. And also Prabhupada is clearly explaining, I mean, in this verse, it is explaining that our tiny brain cannot conceive this event, cannot even understand how is this event happening. Like here it is explained that, right, that although Krishna is over the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and through Krishna comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, everybody comes through Krishna. And from Krishna's expansion, then from there, the three, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, and Brahma, they all come. And all of this creation happens by Brahma. But it's so common, right, for us to understand until we came into this reading all of these details from Srimad Bhagavatam. We always thought that Lord Brahma is the creator, right? We never thought to go beyond that to understand who created Lord Brahma. How did this even start? So that's the explanation given, that even for Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, for the creator, the maintainer, and annihilator, it is Lord Krishna who's behind all of that. So again, all of this we cannot understand because our brain cannot conceive that. And also it is explained, as I said earlier, Achinta Beda Abeda Tattva. In that, Prabhupada is explaining such a nice example of the electric powerhouse, right? We have an electric powerhouse somewhere. I was also thinking about, even in our IT field industry, right? That all the servers are situated in one place, but then all the different PCs, all of that, everything functions, right? All of the applications function based on that server. If anything happens to the server, there is a whole disruption. But so similarly, Krishna is there, but he's completely aloof. And that is also explained in Bhagavad Gita, right? In that verse in chapter 7, where I am the one who does everything. However, this material energy is aloof from me. So we should not think that because Krishna, everything based upon Krishna, that Krishna is getting impacted with any of this. He's not. He's completely aloof from all of this. But nothing happens without the will of the God. In order for an action to happen, we understand, right? There are three things that will happen. First is the desire from the Atma, like the soul will desire something. And then what is the next step? The next step is the Paramatma has to sanction that desire. So that is an important factor. And once Paramatma sanctions the desire, then all of the material energy will come into effect, and then it will make the desire happen if the sanction was desired. But if it was rejected, then nothing is going to happen. So we have to understand, even for that, like that sanctioning happens because of Paramatma who's situated in the heart. So similarly, like that, even in the entire universal thing, we have to understand that there is the Paramatma, right? It acts everywhere. Even a blade of grass would not move unless there was the sanction of Krishna. So similarly, like that, Krishna stays aloof. However, through his material energy, everything is happening because of his sanction. Everything is happening. So that's really what we have to understand, how things happen in this material world. So this verse was clearly explaining that. And then the next verse, verse 19, here again the explanation is continued to Dhruva about how supreme authority's inconceivable power again acts, right? So in here, importance is given about death. See, the time factor is such an important thing, right? Because again, time exists the way time exists is in the material world, right? In spiritual world, the time is inconspicuous by its absence. Like It's a whole different thing. Like time doesn't, there is no passing of time, how it happens in this material world. But in this material world, we know that time is the one that moves everything. We were not here at one point. We came into existence, we have taken birth, and we are now growing older and older and older every day by day, right? And then at one point, we will cease to exist. But again, what is ceasing to exist? It's the material body that will cease to exist. But my soul is going to continue through this journey, right? So that's what here it is given, that the next verse, Nikita, actually is about the death, how death will take away everything. And again, Krishna says, time I am. So he is that force. He is that energy, I guess, what brings us into, or gives us the opportunity. And then everything is gone at the end of life. And again, what are the lessons learned, right, from these two verses? The main lessons learned is from the first one is that we have to understand Krishna's supreme position. And when we understand that, we take shelter of him. We try to dedicate our life as much as possible, whatever we can. Again, it's mainly about the consciousness, okay? Again, if we cannot physically do a lot of whatever we can based on our capacity, but it is a consciousness that everything I do in this lifetime, everything, Krishna is at the center and Krishna is the focus. So that's how we live our life, right? And in this verse, it is really preparing for death. I was thinking that too, like, even like now, we have been in the temple for several years now, and our devotee community is growing so nicely. The congregation is coming along so nicely. And I was thinking how fortunate it is, that by the passing of every day, by the passing of every week, every month, every Kartik, I can see how from last year to this year, how it is enhanced, right? Many of the devotees have come together in different forums, be it this Kartik, association coming together, or be it the Vaishnavi group coming together, the youth group, or the food distribution group, or the Srimad Bhagavatam group, or we have so many different groups. But what I'm saying is, all in all, the opportunity has increased so much. Like day by day, the opportunity is increasing more and more to associate, to serve, and be able to engage more in the service of Shri Shri Radha Madhavari. And I can slowly also feel it, right? The children are all gone, and then slowly how we are engaging more and more. It's like, okay, how many more years do I even have now left? I don't know that, right? How many years I have left to live on this planet or even in this service. So everything that I've been receiving, to do the best I can, engage the best I can. Again, praying to Krishna that please, please, just let me continue with what I'm doing and give me the best of the circumstances that I'm able to continue with the service that I'm able to do. So that's really the prayers I have. And again, so much in gratitude for the congregation that we have here in Phoenix right now. So with that, I would like to end. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for excellent class, and may you continue in service of their lordships and devotees for many, many years. Right? Don't say that you are ending soon. No, you are going to continue for 100 years, I think, at least. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very nice as usual. Hare Krishna.